We've all been there, right? A simple disagreement suddenly blows up into a massive conflict. But what if I told you that disagreements aren't the problem? What if they're actually the solution? A tool for getting to the truth? Okay, let's get into it and figure out how we can turn those painful arguments into conversations that actually work.
So I want you to think about the last time you really disagreed with someone. A coworker, your partner, a friend. When it was all over, did you walk away with a clearer picture, feeling like you actually understood things better? Or did it just collapse, leaving everything feeling kind of broken and messy? That question right there, that's at the heart of everything we're talking about.
And here's the big idea, the thing that changes everything. Truth isn't some fragile little thing that needs to be protected from different ideas. Not at all. In fact, it's the complete opposite. It's that gentle friction, that rubbing together of different points of view, that actually polishes the truth and makes it shine. So picture this. Every time your idea meets someone else's, you're standing at a fork in the road. And there are only two ways you can go. One path leads to a destructive crash. The other leads to a productive, even joyful, clash. Let's break down exactly what that looks like.
First, let's talk about the one we all know way too well, the crash. This is that awful, tense feeling when a conversation just completely derails. And what's left behind? Broken trust, maybe a stalled project, and honestly, everyone just feeling worse than when they started.
The perfect metaphor for this is a car wreck. See, a crash isn't when ideas collide, it's when egos collide. Just like a car, people get rigid. They can't absorb the impact. And the result is just damage, plain and simple. The goal isn't to find the best answer anymore, it's just to protect ourselves. And that, right there, is where progress goes to die.
So, what are the warning signs? Well, a crash is coming when our identity gets all tangled up with our ideas. Suddenly, a challenge to our idea feels like a personal attack. Our emotions just take over, and pretty soon, it's not about learning anymore, it's about winning. And that's when we make the biggest mistake. We start thinking that disagreement is the same thing as disrespect.
But, okay, deep breath. It absolutely does not have to be that way. Let's shift gears and look at the alternative, which is so much better. This is what we call the joyful clash. It's a completely different way of thinking.
And if a crash is a car wreck, then a clash, well, it's like bumper cars. The whole point is for things to bump into each other. It's a healthy collision of viewpoints. The whole environment is designed to be safe. It's playful. It's illuminating. And the most important part? Nobody gets hurt. The ideas collide, but the people stay connected.
So how do we get more bumper cars in our lives? Well, it happens when we trade in our defensiveness for genuine curiosity, when we hold our own ideas a little more loosely. The goal for everyone in the room becomes understanding, not victory. And in that kind of space, disagreement isn't a threat anymore. It becomes the very tool we use to build something better, together.
Okay, so if clashing is so much better for everyone, why on earth do we crash so often? The answer is kind of personal, and it has way less to do with what we're arguing about and everything to do with our own internal state before the conversation even begins.
This lays it all out, right here. It's that fork in the road again. On the left, that's the flexible, resilient bumper car. That's you when you're feeling grounded, safe, and clear-headed. You can take a little bump from a different idea. But on the right, that's the rigid, threatened car. That's you when you're stressed out, tired, or feeling insecure. In that state, even a tiny disagreement can feel like a 5-alarm fire. Here's the bottom line. Your inner state determines the outer outcome.
Which, of course, brings us to the most important question. How do we actually do this? How do we build more bumper cars and prevent the car wrecks? If our inner state is the key, what can we do for ourselves and for our teams to create the right conditions? Well, here are 6 practical things we can do to create that joyful friction. It all starts with a shared purpose. Are we all rowing in the same direction? Then, we need clear rules of the road. How are we going to talk to each other? Creating emotional safety is non-negotiable. People have to feel safe enough to be honest. And this one's huge, humility. Maybe the hardest parts, though, are learning to detach our pride from our ideas and committing, really committing, to finding the truth together, no matter whose idea it was originally. So let's zoom out and put a bow on this. Learning to clash instead of crash. This isn't just some nice little communication trick. It is a fundamental skill that our world desperately needs right now, from our families to our companies, all the way up to our global conversations. This table just says it all, doesn't it? In a clash, ideas collide. In a crash, egos collide. In a clash, the goal is truth.
In a crash, the goal is victory. The result is either clarity and unity or damage and fracture. And the feeling? Well, it's the difference between joyful friction and a painful rupture.
And really, this is an invitation. This isn't just about you getting better at arguments. It's about all of us building better communities, better families, better workplaces. It's about each of us taking responsibility for cultivating that inner flexibility so we can show up in the world in a way that builds instead of breaks.
And I just want to leave you with this one last thought. When we get this right, when we learn how to clash well and create that safe space, truth stops being a weapon that one person uses against another. Instead, it becomes what it was always meant to be, a shared light that shows everyone the way forward.